Hello students, welcome to BTech 360. The JoSAA round 1 cutoffs are all with us, right? And I was trying to understand how did the core engineering perform as compared to CSC, and whether the demand for core engineering, or what kind of demand do you have for different branches, and how is core engineering performing, because the conversation at this point in time is that CSC is having a problem and so on and so forth. So what I was looking at is some signals from the kind of cutoffs in round 1 that you have for core engineering branches. And what I'm about to talk to you will actually shock you, because it seems very, very clear of where the directions are at this point in time at least, right? Now, before I move further, two things that I want to tell you. If you want me to cover any college, any subject of your interest, please write to me here. Please do subscribe to BTech 360. And I must thank our university partner, Jain University, because what we're doing is actually creating a bunch of content to help students take more informed career choices. And to that extent, we partnered with a few universities which are enabling this entire exercise to be done together. So I must thank our university partner, Jain University, which has multiple campuses. Look out for them if you can. Now about the first generation IITs. We first looked at the first generation IITs, and 7 IITs is what we looked at. What are the IITs that we're talking of? We're talking of IIT Delhi, Bombay, Madras, Kanpur, Kharagpur, Roorkee and Guwahati. And we are analyzing them obviously based on JoSAA round 1 closing rank, and 25 over 26 is what we compared to understand how the demand has moved. So the 7 first generation IITs we looked at. These seven first generation IITs have 48 core engineering branches. And when you look at score as compared to last year versus this year, in 42 of them, it's become much more easier for you to get into an IIT in the core engineering branches, which means if the rank was 1000 last year, it's become 1100 this year, and so on and so forth. Only in 6, it's actually gone down, which means it's become more competitive. In 42 of them, it's gone up. The reverse is true also for CSC, by the way, where the demand is so much more higher that it become more competitive, right? So this I'm talking about only the first generation IITs, remember that. Before we get into this, we should also understand why it would have happened. There is a clear possibility that if you actually start some very, very good courses at any of these first generation IITs, the students will gravitate for those courses before they come down to some other course, which means the core engineering is not a matter of choice, but when students are left with no choice but to take that, if they want to study at at first generation IITs, what they do is they apply for some of the branches. Assuming they don't get that, they keep coming down as the ranks keep moving downwards. And that seems to be the case here, and it's normally the case everywhere, that you make a choice of something else, and if it doesn't come, the second choice, the third option, the fourth option, and that's why you keep falling, and that seems to be happening. Now, whenever you actually create a good supply in a good IIT of a good branch, to that extent, the next level of branches will start faltering in terms of the competition becoming that much more easier because you added a few more seats. So when you look at, first of all, the JoSAA counseling itself, in IITs, about 791 seats were added. 791 seats were added in IITs, NITs 637 seats were added, IIITs 1578 and GFTS 1464. For a moment, I'll leave these two aside and just look at these two only, which is 791 and 637, which essentially is about 1430, 1428 or something like that. Now, at 1428 seats, some of these branches might be of greater in demand. It can be on AI, data science and all. So to that extent, that's a great possibility that those many seats being added will ensure that there is lesser demand for the seats which are coming down below those choices, right? So remember this, 1428 seats were added in the seat matrix across IITs and NITs, and especially I'm only talking of IITs and NITs. I'm not talking of IIITs and GFTS for the moment. Otherwise, 4,470 seats were added in the current JoSAA counseling round between 25 and 26. But 1428 is what we'll look at. Now look at what happened. Physics has increased in demand. It means that it's become more competitive for you to get into physics. Remember what Elon Musk said, or Jensen Huang of NVIDIA said. They said if they want someone, if they were to advise someone, they'll ask them to go back to physics. In fact, I would extend it to saying any pure sciences subject. They said, go back to physics, it will really give you a lot of dividends. And that seems to be the case here. Physics has got more demand this year than last year. Like last year, for example, in IIT Kharagpur, BS Physics, 8625 was the highest closing rank, right? In the round 1. This year it's 7796. It's become competitive by 829 ranks. In IIT Madras, Engineering Physics 1428 it was last year. It is 1316 this time, 112 ranks up. IIT Delhi 2358 last time, 2256 this time. It's again become 102 ranks up. And IIT Bombay engineering physics, 1483 last time, 1435 this time, 48 ranks up. So in the premier IITs that you have, across the board, physics has become that much more difficult for you to get in, right? And then Guwahati and all have fallen marginally, here it's 8 ranks, here it's 47 ranks and those kind of things. And I'm for a moment ignoring IIT Roorkee BSMS physics because it's an integrated program, by the way. But otherwise, they've fallen a bit. But if you see the growth that's happened, very clearly physics seems to be in higher demand. And that is reflected in the kind of, rank inflation that has happened, which means that you need to be having a far better rank than what you had last year to get into engineering physics or any BS physics program in any of the, first generation IITs. Now the next part of it, when you look at EC and electrical, at least it's become that much more easier. And again, it's a possibility that you actually have added some of the seats in AI and machine learning and all, which is why this would have happened. But this has become slightly less competitive as compared to last year. In the sense in IIT Delhi, you can actually, last year it was 591. At 593 also you get it this time around. But for Bombay, which has become more competitive, and of course Bombay seems to be the destination for every student who wants to study anything in BTech, right? Delhi, it's become 2. IIT Madras, it was 741 and 742. So if you see these three, which are the top 3, what you call, Trimurtis, what we call, here it's almost similar, that whatever has happened last year is what is happening this year. But you come down to Kanpur, it's 39 seats. So what was 1112 last time was 1551. Roorkee is 1394 last time, 1531, 137 ranks. Lesser competition. Kharagpur EECE 1426 versus 1625, 199 ranks fall, which means at 165 also you could get it. Last time it was 1426. IIT Roorkee engineering again 2006 versus 2163, 157. IIT Kharagpur 1885 versus 2106, 221 ranks fall. And Guwahati 2064 versus 2212, 148 ranks fall. Guwahati ECE again 1656 versus 1932, 276 fall. So across the board, all these IITs, but for the top 3 that I'm talking about, Delhi, Bombay and Madras, have seen lesser competition for electronics, electrical and all, possibly because there were better seats added at the CSE level. There's a great possibility about that, and that seems to have reflected in how you've seen that. But the good thing ends here. The moment you get down to core engineering, you'll actually see a dramatic shift. Let's look at this, right? Again, Delhi, I'll leave it for a moment because it's a different game altogether. But if you see IIT Bombay, 1766 was last time, it's now 1852, which means lesser competition by 86 ranks. Madras, 1226, 1313, 87 ranks, lesser competition. IIT Madras Mechanical, 2354 versus 2445, 91 ranks, lesser competition. Kanpur Aerospace, 3550, 3686, 136 ranks. Delhi, 1862, 2131, 269 ranks. IIT Bombay Aerospace, 2305, 2593, 288 ranks, lesser competition. Right? And we're talking about 25 versus 26, round 1 is what we're comparing, mind you. Roorkee again, 3702, 3992, 290 ranks, lesser competition. Kanpur, 2635 versus 2980, 345 ranks, lesser competition. Madras Aerospace, 2749 versus 3125, 376 ranks, lesser competition. We're talking about mechanical and aerospace, we're combining everything together. Kharagpur Aerospace, 4487 versus 4888, 401 ranks, lesser competition. Kharagpur Mechanical 3599 versus 4182, 583 ranks, lesser competition. And Guwahati 4381 versus 5030, 649 ranks, lesser competition. Across the board, everywhere, mechanical and aerospace seem to have fallen. Right? So the rank that you wanted, you could get into last year, now even at a lesser rank or rather a higher rank also, you still are able to get it. At lesser score and lesser marks in higher rank also, you're still able to get it. Now you come down to civil. Civil is much more dramatic, which means the demand for civil has fallen much more dramatically. IIT Bombay, 4095 last time, 4376 this time, 281 ranks is the fall. Right? IIT Delhi, 4228 last year, it's this year 4798, 570 is the fall in ranking. IIT Madras, 5629, 590 this time, 341 ranks fall. Then you actually have Kanpur at 5790, 658, 795 ranks drop. Right? Roorkee 6361 versus 7155, 794 rank drop. Kharagpur 7079 versus 7874, 795 rank drop. And Guwahati 7921 versus 8836, 915 rank drop. So very, very clearly, across the board, you actually saw civil being lesser in demand because of which the rank inflation that you saw is about at least 10%. So what is 7,000 has become 8,000, what is 6,000 has become 7,000, and so on and so forth. Students are first preferring something else before they come to civil is something very, very clear. Same thing I've shown for mechanical and aerospace also. Now let's look at chemical. In chemical, again a dramatic drop. IIT Delhi last year it was 2425 round 1. It's now 2649. We're talking of open category, JoSAA round 1 cutoff. JEE Advanced 224 this time around. IIT Bombay 2405 versus 2750, 345 round rank drop. IIT Madras 3804 versus 4131, 327 rank drop. Kanpur 3942 versus 4284, 342 rank drop. IIT Roorkee Chemical 4572 versus 4999, 427 rank drop. Kharagpur 4818 versus 5426, 608 rank drop. Guwahati 5193 versus 6222, 1029 rank drop. Again Guwahati 7273 versus 8138, 865 rank drop. And IIT Roorkee BSMS Chemical integrated 10,300, 11,790. So again across the board, every IIT has seen a rank drop in terms of chemical and civil. Right. Now overall, when you look at this whole thing, right, first generation IIT is only what we're comparing. Physics, 4 increase, 5 decrease but the top 3 have increased. So you could see that. In EC and EEE, only 1 increased, just IIT Delhi if I'm not wrong, 9 decreased. Mechanical only 1. And this is again, the increase also is very, very marginal, 5, 7, 10 ranks, but 12 decreased. Chemical, all 9 decreased. Civil, all 9 decreased. Overall, when you look at it, most of them are a decrease only. And very clearly the story seems to be, and if you look at the weighted average, drop in the whole thing, in mechanical there is a 208 rank drop. In chemical it's 465 rank drop, and in civil it's 600 rank drop, and in EC and EEE it's 68 rank drop. So very clearly what's happening is, as we start creating new courses in the better IITs, students are gravitating towards that, and to that extent the demand for the core engineering seems to be moving down, or rather the ease with which you will get into the core engineering branches is much more easier as what it was compared to last year based on the rank that you have. So very clearly the signals are that students, whatever it is, they're preferring the CSE, AI, and they won't ride the AI wave before they come down to the core engineering. And so overall, when we looked at it across all the 3 generations of IITs, right, this is what we noticed. 7 IITs which were started, we analyzed 48 programs, 42 weakened and 6 improved, right, and that is physics largely. Then second generation IITs, we looked at 8 IITs which were formed between 2008 and 2012. We analyzed 42 programs, 9 improved and 33 weakened, right. But as you come down to generation 3, not a single one improved. All the programs, we analyzed 23 programs, everywhere the competition is lesser, which means that even at a higher rank, you're likely to get a seat into any of the generation IITs across any of these programs of core. And that seems to be the case here. Converted, if you look at the whole thing, which is basically BSU kind of a thing, again 12 weekend. So essentially what you've seen is, in the moment you get down to core and all, core engineering and all, across the board in tier 3 and everything, anyway it's lesser, but even in tier 2 and tier 1, when you look at it, there's a lesser demand for the core engineering branches as compared to what it was last year. When you compare the highest closing rank in the open category of all the core engineering branches, what we covered is mechanical, civil, aerospace, and chemical. So all those 3 we covered. Only physics seems to have improved, but everything else has fallen dramatically. And that is the story of this particular JoSAA counseling round. That core engineering seems to be, the slippage of the core engineering seems to continue even in the current year, and it seems to be a story, a saga that India has to deal with before. I don't know when it will come back, but at this point in time, it's a saga that continues. I hope this helps you. Again, if you want me to cover anything else, please write to me in the message box here. And I must thank our university partner, Jain University, for helping us putting this entire thing together. Thank you so much.